To another edition of Spartan Spotlight on RebelRunSports.com. I'm John Moore, joined as always by Rob Giampapa, and the captain of our ship, Coach Jason Eldridge.
How you guys doing
High
today?
School. Doing well, you?
Hanging in there. Yeah, hanging in there.
Well, there's no easy way to get to it. So let's get right to it. You had the Hall of Fame game.
Yes, we did.
Unveiled
It was
a beautiful
exciting.
scoreboard.
It was exciting. Yeah, it was a good environment. Yeah.
But 47-40 loss to West Potomac. Tough loss. But I'm just going to get this out of the way first. The highlights that your team had from that game, it was a terrific game. The highlights that your team had from that game were unbelievable. Najee Green was unreal, and Daniel Adu, as always, is a freak of nature. That guy's from another planet this year.
Yeah. Well, it's very nice of you to be so positive about our highlights. I thought one thing we did better this week than we haven't done in previous weeks is compete for 4 quarters. We had to make some adjustments on some things. West Potomac, to their credit, presents a lot of problems, as you know. They got a couple good running backs, one in particular, that causes some issues. And defensively, their second and third levels have speed and athleticism. And that's a problem when, you're trying to shift things and get a running game going to help support your quarterback and your receivers. That being said, I thought we did some good things here and there. Unfortunately, when you're 1-5 versus a team that's 5-1, the 5-1 team figures out how to win a game at the end of the game in the fourth quarter, and the 1-5 team figures out a way to lose. And that's what you saw this past week. The special teams debacle in the fourth quarter, was the difference. And the kids are, they're in a good place based on how we competed. They're obviously upset that we lost, and our record's kind of getting away from us here a little bit. But, I think hopefully with the back end of our schedule, we can drive some success here as we go. So that's what we're looking for.
Coach, this season's been marred by some big injuries for you guys. You guys had some more injuries this week.
Yep.
Why don't you talk more about how frustrating is it after you get past the point of concern for your players that are getting hurt, but how frustrating is it these injuries keep mounting up? It's
frustrating in the fact that, we're not a program or a school that has the numbers to provide the depth. A lot of schools everybody goes through injuries. It's the nature of the game. Some programs that are highly successful year in and year out, their next man up almost is, like you look at a major Division I college. Everybody thought Ezekiel Elliott leaving Ohio State, well, who's going to be their running back? And this guy is like crazy town, right? So our next guy in, we need to still develop, and they're not ready. Yeah. And so what we're having to do is take starters from other places and move them into these other positions and try to teach them on the go. That's what's frustrating. The other frustrating aspect of it is that we've sustained probably 4 or 5 freak injuries. A lot of times when you have injuries, you kind of look at, well, what was your off season like, and are the kids built enough structurally to handle the competition and the level of collision that they take in a game. For us, they're freak things, and it's hard to overcome that. We've lost almost our entire secondary, so we've had to replace that with offensive guys. Pete looks better now. I think he's getting to more healthy. He wasn't quite 100% this past week, but he scored 6 touchdowns, so that's a thing. Yeah. I think that's going to be something to look forward to. But we were missing half of our receiving core. Only Najee and Daniel were our starters. We lost our tailback midway through. Now we have another guy that we've been kind of shifting in and out with, so we could at least sustain a running game in that way. Doing that, we were missing our left tackle. And so, all these things kind of mount to, patchwork situations where it doesn't look like when you're looking out on the field and you got 11 guys out there like you're having real big holes and deficiencies, but we do. And, I dressed 36 guys on the sideline. We had almost as many guys injured. And I don't know how to combat this, because I feel like we worked hard in the offseason to make sure that we were strong enough and conditioned enough to do these things. It's the nature of the game. It's the nature of our year. Right. And the kids really fought. And so I'm okay with that. I'm obviously not okay losing, and I'm obviously not okay being 1-5. But I feel like if we can come out and at least West Potomac's a good team, and if we can come out and play like that week in and week out, we're going to get some wins here on the back end. So that's what we're hoping to build for as we go. So,
well, you talked about Peter. He looked like he was running better in this game.
Yeah, he looked a little bit more like his old self. Yes,
absolutely. And I mean, it's kind of a big week for him. I know he got his first offer from VMI.
Yep.
I'm still a little shocked that only VMI has offered him at this point. Like,
no offense, VMI.
No, VMI is great. I'm not taking shots at them. I'm taking shots at other schools looking at him.
Absolutely.
I think if he keeps playing like he's doing, I think you're going to see that adjust itself a little bit. And that's just me. Here's one thing, and it's not a coincidence that Pete, after getting his first, and I told him this, after getting his first offer, comes out and runs and passes all over the place and scores 6 touchdowns. I think he's a little bit more clear of mind.
That's what I was going to ask.
Yeah, he is, and he's got a more sound nature about the way he's going about it. I asked him, I know we're 1-5, but it's a TC, it's a Saturday game. He's like, Coach, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go. Like, I want to get this team back on the winning track. We're hoping to pick up some momentum here. We don't know what the back end looks like. It looks like a lot of teams are back and forth a little bit on their record. So our thing is, let's just keep getting better. And, if we get to 500, we get to 500. If we don't get to 500, we don't get to 500. But at least we know that we can compete and potentially win the games we have left on our schedule. And it's got to start with this week. So that's where our mindset is. Yeah.
Coach, I know it's hard to highlight individual players and their accomplishments when you're having a down season.
Yep.
But when you watch Daniel do, we see him every week. Some of the catches he makes.
It's crazy.
The sideline. Are you? This is how I drew it up. Is it?
Yes.
You've seen him do it a lot. You see him do it in practice. And it's not a shocker.
One thing teams are doing with us is they come out at, like, this is why Najee had a big game. Okay, so they come out and they're doubling Daniel. So we go to Najee right away, and Najee takes advantage of his athleticism and size, gets loose a couple times. They shift their double coverage to Najee. Then we go to Daniel. So that's where we are, and we really couldn't go to the slots as much because there are second and third team slots, right. And they couldn't get separation in our scheme, in our passing scheme. So, at that point, what we're trying to do is facilitate a run game to hold the front 7 at least together long enough to get those 2 on the edge one-on-one. Yeah. If we get one-on-one coverage with them, we feel like we have the advantage. And so we just throw the ball up to them and do your thing. That's what we ask them to do. And they're doing their thing. I see the look on Sarah. They're doing their thing. I got it. But it takes more than that to win a football game.
Yeah.
And, we couldn't even try to slow West Potomac down in the first half. We made some adjustments. We stopped them in the second half, and then our special teams fell out.
So, to your point about VMI, I mean, no offense, JMU, but I feel like
right.
he could be
and no offense,
a lot of places.
I watched the William & Mary JMU game because I have a kid who played for me that starts at defensive end for William & Mary.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at some of the things that the William & Mary quarterback's doing, and I'm like, why would you not like my kid?
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm not saying there aren't others, right? Don't misunderstand that. But I mean, here's a kid that's 6'3", and he's 205 pounds, and he runs a sub 4.7, and he's got a cannon. Well,
and a super brain, apparently.
Right. He's 4.0. He's a 4.0 student. Yeah. So I'm not sure what they don't like about him. Maybe they've got other guys they're looking at. That could be a thing. But I see those other quarterbacks at that level competing, and I know he can do that.
Yeah.
So, and I think VMI saw that too. And because the quarterback coach was straight up with me in saying, matter of fact, he thinks he's as good as a starter now. Oh, yeah. So, and that kid's putting up some numbers if you look at it on the VMI situation. Right. So it's kind of exciting for him. I want him to have fun. I want all the seniors on my team to enjoy this. Right. We don't have, one thing my principal told the kids after the game is, I think what we lost here in the first 6 games is the whole fact that we put a lot of emphasis on winning games. Right. And we do that when you're successful and you expect to be successful. And I'm not going to stop doing that. I told him, matter of fact, I expect to win games here. But my initiative, his initiative to the kids was play for each other. Enjoy the next 4 weeks. You'll never get it back again. He said all these people that came back for the Hall of Fame, they were sitting in the stands in the special seating segment that we gave for them and their families. They're not talking about the wins.
Yeah.
They're not talking about the wins. Yeah. What they're talking about is the camaraderie and their bond that they had in high school playing together as a team. And he's like, don't let the 1 in 5 thing ruin what is ultimately going to be a very fond memory for you later on in life. You know, teams are going to win and lose depending on their situation, their schedule, all those things, and we're seeing that. The ups and downs of being a coach and going through different things like injuries and attrition and stuff like that. Our thing is work hard. Okay, life kicks you around, get up. Yeah. Let's keep moving.
Well, I've told you before, I'm jealous of how good of a talker Peter Musket is. He's ridiculous to talk to. But
he's a nerd. He's such a nerd. Come on.
Well, let's face it. UVA, what are you doing? I'm just saying.
That's a great question.
UVA, what are you doing? If you're not looking at the 2 guys that are playing offense there, what are you doing?
Well, whatever UVA is doing, keep doing because it works well in my house of Virginia Tech.
I'm sure. Well,
all offense given to UVA.
You talked about it before, there's a lot of up and down with all the teams in the area. I mean, Briarwoods goes out, beats Westfield this week. Robinson looked like world beaters at the beginning, have kind of fallen off a little bit. Is that something that you talk to the players about? Like you can win any game,
yes.
Look at what's going on in the area.
Kids know they can win any game. We have to be healthy, like you said, and we have to put all aspects of a game together. And I keep saying this, like our defense kind of fell off in the first half. We fixed it. Our offense was good this week for the first time all game. Then our special teams goes out of whack. And we miss a line on a punt. They block a punt, score a touchdown. That's it. Yeah. That's the game. It's 41-40 late in the fourth. We get a stop again. They punt the ball. Daniel, the one mistake he made, he didn't yell fire, Peter, all the calls we make to get guys to fan out when he's not going to catch the ball and it's going to roll. It hits the kid in the back of the back on the carom. West Potomac gets the ball, scores a touchdown. That's how they win the game. You can't do those things and expect to win in a tight game against a good team. And as soon as we put all aspects of our game together, we're going to win. It doesn't matter who's playing in front of us. It's just, can we do that? Can we muster that? And we go as a staff and we fix the big problems from the week before, and then another one pops up. So, I'm having to do a lot of work with my staff to keep them on track a little bit. I mean, it's tough as an adult to think that you're doing a good thing for kids and doing right by your team and putting yourselves in the best place to win when you're not winning. But we are doing that, and I think we're getting better week to week. And as I said, the score, the record is a little bit out of touch at this point. What we're trying to do is just win a game. And so let's win a game, and then next week, let's see if we can win another game. And who knows at this point? Maybe 4-6 get you in. It did last year for Woodson. They were dead, and then they came out and beat us in that, coming back down 2 touchdowns in the last 5 minutes of the game. And all of a sudden, they just shot up and they got in at the 15. I mean, we're just trying to get in because I think if we get in, nobody wants to play us.
No.
Nobody wants to play us because I've been told, and this is maybe just people trying to keep my spirits up because of where we are, but we're the best 1-5 team you could possibly think of. Right. And I understand that, but we're still 1-5. And you are what your record says you are, which is a bad team. Yeah. So we need to be not bad. Does that make sense? Yeah. Right. So,
you got a game against TC Williams at TC.
Much better team.
Yeah, 2 o'clock on a Saturday. When you kind of get out of your routine, do you have your team in for going into Friday night games? How do you prepare them for a Saturday afternoon?
That's a good question. I think this actually helps us this week. We get an extra day to recover and maybe get a little more healthy. Yeah. 2 years ago, we get up and we feed them breakfast early, and we kind of challenge the higher level kids in this aspect that this is what college football is. Get used to playing on Saturday day. That kind of incites them a little bit. So that's a cool thing. What we have to do is maintain our discipline with our scheduling. Everything's got to still fall in order. What we're going to do is take an extra day of this week and make it a learning day. We're going to helmets and no pads, and we're just going to walk through and mentally get as prepared as we can for what we're going to see on Saturday. So hopefully that reinforcement helps the situation. It is tough though, John. You're right. I mean, kids are getting up on Saturday like trying to watch cartoons or something, and they got to go play a game, right? So yeah.
Well, one thing, just to switch gears completely a little bit.
Thank you.
What do you think about the what do you think about the realignment for next year?
I like it. Here's why I like it for West Springfield football. We start with, and this is no disrespect to what I'm about to say to anybody here, but we start with Lee, WNL, McLean. And I can tell you right now, and we have Westfield Oakton shoved in there, right? But then Woodson Fairfax. And I can tell you right now, that's different, no disrespect to anybody, than Robinson, Stonebridge, South County, West Potomac, blah, 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 okay? So for us, and our back end of our schedule is Robinson, Braddock, or South County, Braddock, Robinson, which is tough, right? But, for us, we have a chance to, if we're not so good starting out, get some wins to get some confidence. We don't have to come out against Godzilla and play the best game of our lives to get a win, So for us, I think it's better. It opens up our schedule for more infrastructure on maneuvering games. Like, when you have an 8-team league, you're locked in 7 games. You only have 3 games to get whoever you want. Now we got 5. We get Route 1 and Annandale out, and we get in Woodson Robinson Fairfax. That's a little bit of a trade-off, to be honest. And I like the fact that we're keeping Braddock in South County. I think and we're I think that keeps what we're doing there pretty solid. I like the realignment. I'm interested to see how the difference in regions works out. I mean, you guys know what the region breakout is? The Concord is out.
Right.
Okay, and so is the Liberty, right? So the Madison district. So they're in with the Cedar Run, which is Battlefield, Stonewall, those names. We get which is why I was watching your show here before I got on. Freedom doing well. I'm like, no. we get the Garfield Hilton Freedom Forest Park with us and the Arlington Hayfield Route 1 group. So that's what's weird. We could go into a region playoff situation and we don't have to play Westfield. Well, that's good. I'll take that. Yeah. But maybe now we have to play Hilton.
Right. Ricky Slade senior year.
Right. Great. All right. Yay. We got to win a game first, John. I'm not going to get to that point.
Right. Good. All right, well, Coach, thanks for joining us again. Good luck.
Stick with us. We'll try to get you a win so we can talk about some good things. We'll do our best.
Always a good time.
Hey, they single coverage Daniel. We're going to talk about good things. It doesn't matter.
All right, so for Coach Jason Eldridge, Rob Giampapa, I'm John Moore. We'll see you next week.